Well, looks like we have a new dinosaur documentary out now. With the American release of Walking with Dinosaurs 2025, with 2 episodes being released each night for a total of 3 nights, starting on Monday, which was yesterday, we had the release of The Orphan and The River Dragon. The Orphan is a story about Clover, a juvenile triceratops who is being pursued by a Tyrannosaurus for like 3 days straight. Whereas the River Dragon is about Sobek, a father Spinosaurus, as he cares for his 4 hatchlings and takes them to a sawfish spawning ground or some kind of Octopristis migration area. And before we get into it, to get into it, I will be covering some spoilers, but I'll put in like timestamps of where you can skip to if you want to have a completely free experience. If you want to have a completely free experience and you don't want to hear me talk at all, just watch the show already. Anyways, onto The Orphan. It has some really good sound design, like from the animals' sounds, like the T Rex, the Edmontosaurus, yeah, that's it, with the Inferno Dracon. They're all just really good, like, and it's like, and like, especially the music. The music in these documentaries are also just really good to the point where I feel like it's the first time since Dinosaur Planet in 2003 where I really felt like the soundtrack for these documentaries really just stands out. While the dinosaur models are notably jank and do have some issues when they are imposed onto the real environments, I think that in some scenes it looks really good. And if you just ignore the fact that there are some scenes in there that really just do look jank, like you really believe that these are real dinosaurs in the scenario, and like they're really well imposed onto the backgrounds. In tandem with the storytelling, the paleontology segments feel like they set up and pay off their CG segments pretty well. Spoilers here, so skip to avoid those. But one segment starts with a pair of scientists finding a hadrosaur leg bone or something. Then they cut to Clover taking refuge with a group of Edmontosaurus, followed by a segment on Tyrannosaurus and its speed, or its hunting habits. Then the Tyrannosaurus attacks. The young Edmontosaurus gets prehistoric planeted. Transition to a segment where a Tyrannosaur coprolite is uncovered and found to have juvenile animal bones inside. I think it's a really good just payoff, and it never really interrupts like key moments, except for one scene at the end, which I actually think it does pretty well, even if it does interrupt like a key scene. While I do wish it could have been a separate segment dedicated to the science, separate from the story, the way that they incorporate it into the story isn't really bad. And in some aspects, I kind of prefer it over the way that other dinosaur documentaries do it. Planet Dinosaur. Yeah. As for these models, they are really well made. The Tyrannosaurus looks notably different, but still feels real. Just like the prehistoric planet Tyrannosaurus. Like, those two are notably different from each other, like, visually speaking. But I really do think, like, these are, like, the real T Rex. You know what I mean? Clover and the old buck both look great. The Edmontosaurus are nice, and I especially like the nice shade of grayish blue skin that they have, as well as the comb on their head. Like, it's something that we know from Edmontosaurus regalis, but to see it on Eonectons, that's pretty cool. Far and away, the best model for this episode, though, has to go to the Inferno Dracon. From the incredible coloration to the coat of terror hair on it, and even the details of them having a spiked tongue, it's such a high quality model. I don't know if I should give these scores, but for those who care, I'll give this an 8.5 out of 10. Subject to change. I was coming up with that on the spot. Anyways, on to the river dragon. While I do like me some Spinosaurus lore, this episode does have some flaws for me. I like the concept of the story, with the father Spinosaurus leading his brood from their nursery to a promised land. There are some points where I feel like the story could have been altered to feel more impactful. To start positive, this episode does a great job of taking us through the Chem formation, with dinosaurs like Carcharodontosaurus, Paralititan, or allegedly the unnamed Titanosaur, the indeterminate Ornithopod, as well as Elanco and Elosuchus, which are all great models, especially that Ornithopod. It's too good for them not to use more of it. Anyways, with my de facto favorite of this episode being the Carcharodontosaurus, which I personally think is perfect. There are no qualms that I have with this model. It is better than any other Carcharodontosaur or any just Carnosaur model in media. Carcharodontosaurus is just so good. It's so aesthetic, from like the colors to the proportions, the rough skin, the shading. It's so good. It is probably the most high quality model I've seen so far. My main issue, though, with the models in this episode comes from the Spinosaurus. I don't think it looks that good. In some shots, it looks pretty good, like especially in like some well lit shots where like you can definitely tell where the light is coming from. But in some shots, it definitely looks like it was just edited in. Its skin looks too smooth for me to really appreciate just how good the model is proportioned, actually, because it is a really well proportioned model. And I think if it was put into a CG background, it would look more at home. Whereas here, it just looks out of place. The science segments are also very interesting here. Things from the implication of webbed feet, the presence of large titanosaurs in the formation, and Sobek's Age of Death all are very interesting, and especially the Age of Death part caught me by surprise. Where this episode loses me is with its ending, so from here on I'll give you the chance to skip ahead to avoid spoilers. But nonetheless, I feel like Sobek should not have died from that confrontation with the older Spinosaurus. Yes, they did say that he died at 17 years of age. But if they wanted to imply his children survive, shouldn't he have lived longer? And who's to say that Sobek had to be 17 at the time of the episode? He could have been 15 or 16. Give him more scarring to imply that caring for his young is taking a massive toll on his body without killing him off for the sake of a somber ending. I just feel like I just don't agree with the fact that he dies at the end. It just sucks. Yeah, as with that being said, I do really like both of these episodes. The River Dragon, I'd rate a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. It might go up or down depending on how I feel about it. But as of right now, it's definitely the weaker of the two episodes that premiered on Monday night. With that being said, I do really like both of these episodes. It is so nice to finally have some story-focused prehistoric media after other docs like Prehistoric Planet and Life on Our Planet had some really good like CG-focused science segments or just natural behavior segments. Nerds, next time for what I definitely believe will be the best episode of the season with Utah Raptor and Gastonia.